Namaste everyone. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Consulate General of India, Johannesburg, I extend a warm welcome to all of you for this special event, Experience the Essence of India. Today we are celebrating the 10th Ayurveda Day. The theme is Ayurveda for People and Planet. This reflects the deep wisdom of Ayurveda as a way of living in harmony with ourselves and with nature. So today's program will feature inspiring talks on Ayurveda and its global relevance, a yoga demonstration for physical and mental well-being, cultural performances celebrating India's rich heritage. So we are delighted to have you join us to explore this wellness culture and tradition together. So now it's my privilege to invite Consul CGO Anil Buradkarji to deliver the opening address and share his thoughts on this special occasion. With a round of applause.
Good evening, everyone. Respected guests and my dear friends. Today we are gathering to celebrate 10th Ayurveda Day on Dhanvantari Jayantri Dhanteras. It is an honor to stand before you today as we celebrate 10th Ayurveda Day, a significant milestone recognized and promoting the profound wisdom of India's ancient science of life. This day is dedicated to honoring the timeless principles of Ayurveda and fostering a deeper understanding of its holistic approach to health and well-being for all. The essence of Ayurveda, it is at its core, Ayurveda meaning the science of life, is a comprehensive system of healthcare that goes beyond treating symptoms. Its primary goal, eloquently stated as swasthasya rakshanam, to maintain health, focus on preventive care and promoting a lifestyle of wellness. It teaches us that true health is a balanced state of physical, mental, spiritual, and social happiness, a dynamic harmony within ourselves and with our environment. Ayurveda for people and planet. This year's theme, Ayurveda for people and planet, with its call to integrate Ayurveda into the lives of everyone every day, emphasize the interconnectedness of human health with the health of animals and the environment. This aligns with the ancient Indian philosophy of Vasudeva Kutumbakam. The world is one family, recognizing our shared responsibility for the well-being of all living things. On this 10th Ayurveda Day, let us renew our commitment to this ancient science. Let us embrace the principle of preventive care by adopting a balanced and healthy lifestyle along with Ayurvedic principle. Seek to understand our unique prakriti and design our daily routine accordingly. Promote the integration of Ayurveda into our healthcare system from local communities to global initiative, recognizing its potential to offer sustainable solutions for the health challenges of our time. Spread awareness about the benefit of Ayurveda to as many people as possible, fostering a culture of wellness for both present and future generations. As we celebrate this significant 10th Ayurveda Day, let us harness the power of this ancient wisdom to cultivate a healthier, more balanced, and sustainable world for ourselves and for the planet. On my performing shortly, Consulate is also organizing few programs. Tomorrow is the Viksit Bharat Run. I hope most of the people they will join tomorrow, which is at Wits University. And 1st October we are celebrating Swachh Bharat Mission, Clean India Mission. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir, for your insightful words, for setting the tone for today's celebration. Now, we move on to our knowledge sharing session with two distinguished speakers who will enlighten us about the relevance of Ayurveda in our modern times. Our first speaker, Dr. Harshada Rama, is an Ayurveda practitioner registered with Allied Health Profession Council of South Africa, trained in India with BAMS and PGDYN from Gujarat Ayurveda University. She brings both traditional wisdom and practical insight to modern living. With roots in a holistic family and over a decade in private practice, Dr. Rama offers medical, lifestyle, and nutritional coaching grounded in Ayurveda. She has also shared her knowledge through articles, radio talks, and by training health professionals in South Africa. As a working mother, she understands the demands of busy lives and is passionate about making Ayurveda simple, approachable, and nourishing, helping people feel balanced, vibrant, and connected in their daily life. Now I welcome Dr. Harshada ji. Big round of applause. Please.
Am I audible? Am I audible when I talk like this? Is that better? Okay, I don't want you to be scared of me. I am here to share.
Do you want a Bluetooth mic? I can.
No, it's fine.
Fine.
There's a little bit of an echo on that, so that's not, is that okay with all of you? Still audible. Okay. Good afternoon. Let's make this interactive then, right? Because it's a nice small group. Okay, I'm Harshada. Let's just get this right. Our first speaker did introduce Ayurveda. It's known to be a 5,000-year-old system of medicine. But in my journey to India, I discovered that Ayurveda is not just medicine, but the word itself says Ayur and Veda. And so, given the fact that it is the science of life, its scope is extremely vast. All right, when we talk about Veda, we talk about knowledge, we talk about wisdom, and therefore it's not just a medical science, but it's everything for every facet and every point of time in a human being's life. And yes, it has its roots in the Vedic traditions of India. Therefore, it is Ayurveda. Ayurveda is an Upaveda of Atharva Veda, one of the four main Vedas that we know as Indians. The fundamental aspects of Ayurveda, the two main principles, as our first speaker was saying, Swasthasya, Swasthya Rakshanam. Rakshana means to protect. So, to protect the health within a healthy individual. The second principle is Aturasya Vikara Prashamanam. In the case of disease, so an Aturasya is the person who has disease, the person who is in or out of balance. Okay? So Vikara Prashamanam. So to assist in subsiding that illness within that human being. Which brings us to the three pillars of Ayurveda. We call them the Upastambhas of Ayurveda.
If you can just try this.
Okay. I feel
I'll
like
turn
there's
yes,
could,
yes.
could we just turn it off?
Sure.
all together? Because I think I'm audible. Like
I
you
think
can
maybe
hear
you
it. Just
can use this.
I don't know.
Okay, you can.
It's fine, right? If I speak to you like this, is it okay? At the back,
You
you
can
guys
take a
hear me?
mic.
You can try with this. You can, giving options.
If you're going to speak on the stage, please click this one.
I think I'm going to do it this way. Okay. Then it's just easier. I don't want to lecture. I just want to. Thank you. Is that okay? Is that fine?
Or you can take a mic in the hand.
All right. I'm still audible, right? Okay. I scream at my children, so I can scream. Okay. So the three pillars of Ayurveda, right? The three Upastamba. So I will refer to some of the terminology that we use that have come out of the classical texts of Ayurveda. So the three pillars are Ahara, or roughly translated as diet, Nidra, which is sleep, and Brahmacharya, which is moderation. So to do everything in life with moderation, never to do anything in excess. So in the same way also, the practice of Ayurveda is not supposed to be difficult. It's supposed to be something that you can attach to your current lifestyle, right, in very, very easy ways. So when we talk about modern lifestyle, we're talking about this 24/7 connectedness to our phones, to technology, to everything. All right, we've got fast food, we have relentless schedules, everybody is stressed out, everybody's low on energy, people are not sleeping, people are not eating correctly. There's so many imbalances that we're seeing. As a clinician, these are just roughly the basic ones that I see in my practice. And then, of course, there are extensions of these, right, which are culminating in proper, like chronic disease, diabetes, hypertension, cardiovascular disease. Hormonal imbalance is one of the big things that we're seeing in modern lifestyles. And all of these are attributed to the way that we are living. It's not something that is that's coming to us just because we live in this world. It's really about how we are living in this world today that's bringing these imbalances to us. So when we look at the Ayurvedic strategies for managing our modern lifestyles, right, to be healthy, to be in balance, to be functional, and to be to be positive or occupy positive space in society, we can start by applying Dinacharya. So Dinacharya is a daily regimen that has been prescribed in Ayurveda, and it consists of many different actions that we can apply to our bodies. By regaining rhythm with Dinacharya, couple of them that I have listed are the pretty obvious ones that you would have heard many people speaking about. Waking before sunrise to sync with natural cycles. So we talk about circadian rhythms. Ayurveda, the proponents of Ayurveda knew this. So we talk about rising in the Brahma Muhurta time, which is approximately 90 minutes before the sun rises. We believe that by rising before the sun, it's a time and a space in the environment that is quiet, there's stillness, and therefore it's very conducive for all our spiritual, mental, emotional activities. So circadian rhythms, it's what we refer to as the Brahma Muhurat. Then tongue scraping and oil pulling to detoxify and refresh. So these are just a couple of them. Oil pulling has been out there. People are talking about oil pulling, what it is. In Ayurveda, we call it, there are two ways of doing this. The one is Gandusha and the one is Kavala. So Kavala is where you actually swish the oil within your mouth. Gandush is where you actually hold oil within your mouth. It's used more to treat diseases that are related to anything above the clavicle. So we use it as a therapy as well. We know that these are definitively helping us to eliminate toxins from our body, particularly through the digestive tract. Yoga and pranayama. Yoga is the sister science of Ayurveda, right? The two of them exist together. They coexist together in the best possible way. Pranayama is your breath work, so anything that is related to slowing down your breath. Okay, we believe that the life that you have is not measured in the years, but it's actually measured by the number of breaths that we take, and therefore we know that there are people living in the mountains, people who are living away from civilization, who are living for up to 150 years at a time, simply because they are monitoring their breath, they are slowing down the breath. All right, so these are the practices. A brisk walk for energy. Circulation is key in keeping disease at bay. Mindful meals instead of rushed eating. We all see how people are eating, in front of a screen. We see mothers putting screens in front of the children. It's sending incorrect signals to the brain. So we also see the advent of obesity, because we no longer know how hungry we are. We also no longer know how full we are after we've eaten. We don't have the capacity to determine how much we should actually be eating, right? So all the calorie controlling and all of these things that has been produced and presented to us is often not suitable for every individual, right? Because Ayurveda has a very individualistic approach. Digital sunset, reducing screen exposure before bedtime. And what is the modern impact of this? Is that all of these practices will establish circadian balance, enhance our productivity, and also reduce anxiety, which so many of us walk around with. All right. Then we also have a seasonal regimen. So that will change depending on what's happening in our environment. And this is the beauty of Ayurveda, how it is tailor-made for people all over the world, right? Because we here are now experiencing spring going into summer. What are the methods that we should be adopting in this setting, taking from Ayurveda, that is then very different from somebody sitting on the other side of the world, all right? So, preventing seasonal fatigue. We are in that season where we are experiencing lots of allergies, blocked noses, all of that. There are methods by which we can avoid these things from happening to our bodies. Diet as daily medicine. Again, I did touch on it. Eat for dosha balance. So each of us are born with a particular permutation and combination of the doshas, which are the three kind of energy principles through which we see Ayurveda and we explain Ayurveda. Digestive fire or Agni is very, very important. Everything kind of lies on the quality of that digestive fire, the Agni. How we digest, too much, too little will essentially give us an idea of what's happening further down in the body, how the food that we eat is being digested and then further than that assimilated, right? So we see a lot of deficiencies, we see we're not metabolizing a lot of vitamins, minerals, so we are expected to swallow these pills from the outside. But when I have seen in clinical practice that a lot of people are not even able to digest these pills and these tablets and these capsules. So we work on improving Agni, again through just adopting some of the principles that Ayurveda has given us. We can therefore improve gut health. By improving gut health, we automatically get weight management and energy stability, right? We don't have these fluctuations of cravings and picking at foods that are not really conducive for our health. Stress management through mind-body practices. So we talked about yoga, we talked about pranayama, meditation, pranayama. Then Ayurveda talks about so many different herbs. I mean, the pharmacology of Ayurveda is so vast. Ashwagandha, everybody knows. Brahmi or Bacopa. We also have Shankhapushpi. Simple things like things that you would have heard of. Triphala, Trikatu, Chavanprasha. These are all things that we are all exposed to. but the correct use of those in combination with the practices, right? The practices that are stated in the classical texts. Reducing burnout, stabilizing mood, and enhancing focus. So one of my favorite ones are Abhyanga. It's so underrated. It's something that everybody in the world should be doing because it is bringing relaxation in the nervous system. We're seeing that so many of the issues that we have in modern day practice are completely related to hormonal imbalance, high cortisol levels, high adrenaline, because we don't take a break. We go, 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 go. And so the body is in a constant state of fight or flight. That elevation in the cortisol levels in the blood is also causing imbalance in so many other aspects of the endocrinology. So hormonal, right? Whether it's your pituitary, the thyroid is one of the most common ones, female infertility, adrenal fatigue, which is one of those that we see time and time again. So ashwagandha, just applying a warm sesame oil to the body instantaneously will give you that effect, making you want to do more and more. Prioritizing restful sleep. This is again one of the upasthamas in Ayurveda, right? Sleep is so essential to health and well-being because during the sleep cycle, the body gets to repair. And now we are seeing that people are insomniacs, right? People are not sleeping, disturbed sleep for various different reasons. So evening rituals like warm baths, herbal teas, a lot of our herbs can be prepared in a tea version, sipped slowly. Self-massage, we talked about the Abhyanga, avoiding stimulants, heavy meals and screens before bed. So really helping our bodies to switch off, right? We expect our bodies to function for us, but we never really supporting that body, that mind, to bring about, that support, that way of functioning. Sleeping by 10 p.m. to maximize, again, the circadian rhythms, rising with the sun and stopping all our activities once the sun goes down. We rely so much on the sun for all metabolic processes. And what we're seeing in the world today is that it has actually switched over. We have become nocturnal, and we all know nocturnal creatures, right? So we do not want to be nocturnal. We need to live with the sun, all right? Again, restoring energy, preventing chronic disease, and sharpening our cognition. Then gentle detoxification. According to Ayurveda, the word panchakarma is something that people know, but the essence of panchakarma is misunderstood. So we have shamana and shodhana. So in our day-to-day lives, we can use shamana procedures. So just to pacify the doshas that are out of balance because of our lifestyles. And then the shodhana is the next step, is the panchakarma, where we actually then evacuate the doshas that are too high or too excessive in the body, which are then creating disease and blockages and inflammation and all those kinds of things. Sipping warm water throughout the day. We see people drinking cold drinks. It's hot outside, but the body is warm and moist. Warm and moist. If you cut a body open, what are you going to get? If you blow in your hand, right, it's warm, it's moist. That is our internal environment. And therefore, these kinds of principles are things that we ought to adopt to support our bodies through the life cycle. Light fasting or mono diets like khichdi. So some things that are light to digest, easy to digest, not very heavy on the digestive systems or the agni. Herbal teas, once again, for digestion, for liver detoxification. We are consuming so much in the world, packaged foods, processed foods, that the liver has to work really hard at to digest. And then I spoke about panchakarma and the modern impact of these strategies, clearing toxins from a sedentary lifestyle and processed diets, and also kickstarting the metabolism for our bodies to actually carry us through our life cycles. Benefits of applying Ayurveda to our daily lives: optimal digestive functioning, Supple joints, strong bones and muscles, efficient and intelligent movement patterns, basically all the good things in life, right? Energy, vitality, happiness, all of those good things, right, is what Ayurveda essentially affords us. I know I'm saying slower aging. There's an entire chapter in Ayurveda called Rasayana Chikitsa, the methods that we ought to adopt to improve longevity, improve our lifespans, right? Allow us to live longer, but also to function in a very healthy way, even if we're living for 100 years. So, so not to be dependent on others. Bridging ancient wisdom with modern needs. So often, I speak to people in communities and people think that Ayurveda is this ancient thing, it should be left back where it came from. But we see more and more and more modern day trends, intermittent fasting, bullet coffee, self-massage, dry brushing. They all have their roots in Ayurveda. These are not things that people have discovered recently. These principles have existed for over 5,000 years. I think it's time for Ayurveda to actually be propagated where it's easy enough for people all over the world to be practicing as a way of life. Not about going back in time, rather about bringing it forward. And I love the flexibility in Ayurveda. People often come flustered. They think, oh my God, now she's going to tell me to do this and this and this and this. But actually, it's so beautiful because just one shift, one change in a lifestyle that is incorrect for that individual is so profound in setting, that body into a motion of repair and regeneration and health. So we are easily able to manage stress in our high pressure jobs by adopting the principles of Ayurveda. We can stay healthy despite urban diets, okay? Even Ayurveda is so beautiful because it can guide us even in those aspects. Hot chips, whatever it may be, how these things should be eaten, what we should do before, what we should do after, to help us to essentially digest and assimilate even a modern urban diet. Build resilience against burnout. We are seeing the effects of burnout in societies, okay? And therefore, again, adopting some of the very basic principles of Ayurveda can combat those kinds of burnouts. Live with vitality, clarity, and purpose. Ayurveda has it all. You name it, we've got it covered. So it doesn't have to mean imbalance. We don't have to live in the state of imbalance. There is a place where we can live with vitality, with energy, and live happily. The future of wellness lies not in extremes, but in integration. So how do we fit this beautiful science into our current lives? It has it all. We have the answers. It's just about putting it into practice. And this is a quote from the Charaka Samhita, which is one of the texts of, one of the main texts of Ayurveda. Life is a combination or the sanyoga of body, senses, mind, and the reincarnating soul. So this is very telling of the fact that it is not just a medical science. It is a way of life. It is a way. It has all the principles of living a good and a sound and a happy life. Ayurveda is the most sacred science of life, beneficial to humans, both in this world and the world beyond. I thank you so much. Thank you, Manu.
Thank you, Harshadaji, for your valuable insights. So before we go on with the next speaker, we'll do a small de-stressing yogic activity. Just keep your spine straight. Close your eyes. Just close your eyes and just place your palms on the lap. And just focus on your breath. Very simple thing to do. Eyes should be closed. The camera is watching you, so keep your eyes closed. Just focus on your breath. Just focus on your breath. Just watch the breath coming in and going out. Coming in and going out. Just watch your breath. Relax the entire body. Just slow down the breath. Slow down the breath. Just observe the abdomen moving in and out. Just watch your breath. Take few deep and long breaths, expanding the abdomen and the chest. Now very gently rub your palms. Now place the palms on your eyes. Gently rub your forehead, cheeks and neck. And now you can slowly open your eyes. Hope you felt relaxed and also a subtle way of waking you up on a lighter note. So now let's go for the second speaker, Dr. Neeraj Mistriji, will speak on Ayurveda and global tradition medicine. An introduction about Dr. Neeraj Mistry is global health executive and public health physician with 20 plus years of experience in non-profits, business, academia and multilateral organizations. He is an allopathic doctor, economist and qualified in Ayurvedic medicine from the Maharshi International University. He lived in the United States for the past 20 years and returned home to South Africa 5 years ago. So now I welcome Dr. Neeraj Mistriji on the stage. A round of applause.
No, it's fine. You can hear me, right?
Let me put the...
Oh, I can stand, yeah. The second one. Here we go, yeah.
Okay, check it.
It's
You can just use this one to go down.
okay, perfect. Thank you, and thank you for the invitation, Anilji, and I'm happy to be here. And thank you all for attending. I'm feeling really relaxed after that pranayama, so let me fire it up a bit now. So I'm looking at integrative approaches in 2025 and beyond. How do we move forward in the world as we know it? And looking at Ayurveda as an adjuvant, as a complementary medicine, as an integrative medicine to what we know and do in our daily lives. By show of hands, how many of you have Ayurveda in your lives in some shape or form? Okay, so this is certainly a crowd that has converted or has integrated this. Where I work in public health is how do we create access to new technologies and strategies for general public audiences who may be not familiar with it, who don't have a legacy or a history of this through their cultural heritage, etc. And that's making the case, marketing, selling this to them so they see the benefit of it. And the way we do it to different audiences varies. And so this has been a lot of my work in health and medicine. So I'm going to talk a bit about my journey, and particularly for us in a South African and African context, how do we introduce Ayurveda so that it becomes a bit more mainstreamed? Okay, so my journey, I did my medical degree down the road here at Wits University, and after that I worked in infectious diseases, HIV/AIDS, TB, malaria, neglected tropical diseases. Krimji, everyone knows what Krimji is? Intestinal worms, right? So those are part of the diseases and all the parasitic infections which are highly prevalent in Africa, across Asia and Latin America as well. And then I pivoted to non-communicable diseases, because it's interesting in the African context where pestilence and famine, diseases of poverty, infectious diseases and starvation were the prevalent diseases time ago, but now we have a dual burden of disease. Because of urban lifestyles, we have undernutrition as well as overnutrition at the same time. So countries like South Africa are facing the dual burden of disease. India, very interestingly, about 20 years ago, had 70% of its population that lived in rural areas and 30% in urban areas. That ratio has now reversed. And so those lifestyle diseases, fast food, etc., Mac Maharaj burgers, etc., are becoming much more prevalent in consumption, and we're starting to see a switch in the type of diseases that we live experiencing. So certainly diabetes, hypertension, obesity, fatty liver disease are now starting to increase in prevalence. But after practicing clinically for a while, what I realized is I wanted to understand the big picture. So it's one patient at a time, but I wanted to understand population health. And I pursued an economics and public health degree at the London School of Economics. And when you work in public health, it's not just about treatment. You've got to go back to the source. And that's when you start focusing on prevention. And so that started making me understand, well, where's this coming from? Why do we behave in this sort of way? What determines what we eat and how we live our lives? And it also coincided with a big shift in global health when we started talking about SDOH, which is social determinants of health. And there's a very interesting statistic that the health of a population, about 10 to 20% of the health of a population is actually determined by health services. The other vast 80 to 90% of it is determined by what we eat, where we live, access to clean water, electrification, etc. So understanding the lifestyle and the context in which people live becomes much, much more important. And so after working in public health for a while, I then started seeing a trend. Hold on, if this is the basis on that determines the health of people, and what I picked up was it was diet. Diet was one of the biggest determinants of health. I needed to understand diet a bit more. And I looked at all these off-the-shelf diets like Atkins and paleo and vegetarian diets and vegan diets and lacto-ovo-vegan diets, etc. And I was trying to make sense of it. I even looked at diets based on blood groups, ABO groups. And so there were general patterns that it pointed to, but it wasn't really specific because we're all very different. You would think about your brother or sister coming from the same parents and how different you are. So how do we understand the individual in order to make interventions for them? And to that end, Ayurveda offered the best understanding of how we individualize care and understanding the physiology from an individual perspective. So it sounds like a very rational decision on how I landed up in Ayurveda, and it was. At the same time, I had gotten onto transcendental meditation, and I've been part of the Transcendental Health Professional Network in the United States, where we were looking at medical therapies as well as transcendental meditation at the same time. And Maharishi, the founder of Transcendental Meditation, his interpretation of the Samhitas and the Hridayams, etc., started off this course in Ayurvedic medicine at the Maharishi International University. So that's how I ended up doing it there. And there are many schools and interpretations of these scriptures. And I put why be healthy on this, and we were having a conversation about this. What is our philosophical basis of why we want to be healthy? You know, to what end is this? Self-actualization, self-realization, service to humankind, etc. And so there needs to be a philosophical basis behind our health intervention. And interestingly, in allopathic medicine, we don't stop to think about that. We're always about, let's save lives. And we don't stop to think about the quality of life, the meaning of life, etc. So Ayurveda certainly offers that as we look at that. So that's how I landed in Ayurveda. So coming back to our South African context, everyone knows Ubuntu. I am because you are, okay? And we never look at ourselves in the African context as an individual. The self is always in reference to or in relation to others. And what Ayurveda does is it takes this concept and it expands it further. So I am because you are becomes I am because it is. And it is society, the environment, the air, the sky, the moon, the sun, all of that. And so it looks at yourself in reference to everything around it. And that's one of the really, really beautiful things about Ayurveda. And it's so relevant in the world today. When we look around, it feels like the world is burning, it's flooding, there's war, there's conflict and everything. And if we can't see ourselves in reference to all these elements and the environment in which we live, we're fighting a losing battle. But if we do that, can it have an impact on all of this? And we know that things are really, really interconnected. So I think it's not just a luxury, it's a necessity now in this day and age. So Ayurveda is not just a system of medicine, it's a way of life that protects health, nurtures nature, and ensures harmony between humanity and the environment. And I think that is perfectly spot on with the people and planet theme of Ayurveda day to day. So I just wanted to touch on the physiology, and certainly my colleague here covered it really, really well. But the Pancha Mahabhutas, the elements that we talk about, space, air, water, fire, and earth, are from which the doshas are derived. And those are the energies that constitute the qualities that we are made up of, that we so need to keep in balance in order to live a good and healthy life. And they represent different things: movement, transformation, and stability. Now, people often try to find, what is my label? What dosha am I, right? And if you ask someone they're interested in Ayurveda, they'll say, yes, I'm a Vata, I'm a Pitta. And yes, it's important to know that, but these are very dynamic things. It's not a label or a tattoo you get and say, that's it for life. And most people are bi-doshic or tri-doshic, right? So you will have elements of all of them, and they will vary by season, they'll vary by time of day, they'll vary by your phase of life. And so it's important to understand that as a very, very dynamic process, and accordingly, the interventions you do also contribute to that dynamism. Okay, so the individual comes with a constitution, and which we call the Prakriti. And this is what you're born with, right? And it is a combination of what you get for your parents, your genetics, the environment in which you were born, but also what we talk about, and the Indians in the room will geek out on this, is the Jyotish. It is your distant influences, the astrology, the planetary locations, etc. Interestingly, in African cultures, there's a lot of talk or belief in the power of the ancestors. And it aligns very well to what Ayurveda is about. Also, many Latin American beliefs are quite similar. And we call it different things, whether it's energies, whether it's the energies of ancestors, etc. All have a very similar implication. So with that Prakriti, we then have these doshas. And I think it's important to understand the pathogenesis of disease in Ayurveda, because it starts off with an accumulation in a particular dosha. So, for example, if you are a pitta type of person, which is a hot type of person, and you pouring on the spice and the masala on things and eating lots of chilies, that's going to cause an accumulation of pitta. It's going to be in opposition to vata and kapha, and then you're going to get an aggravation of that, right? So from accumulation, you then get aggravation. When there's aggravation, it then spreads throughout the body. It then localizes in a particular area, manifests as some sort of pathology, and then there's complications related to that. Now, the importance of this is that many people present at the time of manifestation and complication, right? They've tried a whole lot of therapies, and then they come to the Ayurvedic practitioner who's like, wow, you know. And one of the lovely things in Ayurveda is when you see a patient, it's like not any promises. It's like, we try. Let's try and see what we can do, right? And that's the approach that's taken. And so the importance of the lifestyle is very, it means that we can start being aware of accumulation and aggravation and start addressing things at that level, okay? And so a lot of the therapies are about rebalancing and panchakarma, and I'll try not to repeat anything that was really, really beautifully put. Okay, so depending on whose scriptures you read, 3 pillars or 4 pillars, but it's all part of the same thing: the ahara, the vihara, the lifestyle, the achara, the behavior and ethics, and the aushadha, which is the medication. So I'll touch on a few of those. So diet, food is the best medicine. For those of you who trained in modern medicine, you may have heard this quote from Hippocrates, who talked about the Greek father of medicine, who talked about food is the best medicine. Interestingly, anecdotally, the Silk Route came from India to Europe, and this was written, food is the best medicine, in the Vedas a long time ago. So there are historians who believe that Hippocrates actually got a lot of it from the Vedas. Interestingly, there was also a route that came up from Africa into Greece and the Mediterranean. And Pythagoras, the sides of a right-angle triangle, were described by the ancient Malians way, way before Pythagoras wrote about it. So a lot of the knowledge from around the world was documented. And I think that's one of the biggest challenges that many of our ancient cultures, particularly African cultures, have, because our histories are oral traditions rather than written traditions. So a lot of it is lost along the way. So I'm not going to repeat anything that my colleague had spoke about, but I want to give you this analogy, because a lot of people think that the digestive tract, all the way from the mouth right to the end, is like a conveyor belt. So what you put in will go down the conveyor belt all the way and then come out, and you'll get absorption and metabolism and breakdown into energy, protein, etc. along the way. But it's not actually like a conveyor belt. It's more like an oven. And you know, when you put something in the oven, you got to let it cook completely before you open it and put something else in, right? And if you open it while it's still cooking, it's not going to bake or cook properly. And so one of the most important things about eating is eating at mealtime, right? Because it gives your body that process to go through. And my Vaidya ji used to say that digestion starts from the time you touch your food in your hand. You feel texture, you feel temperature, you feel how rough it is, how smooth it is, and that already is starting to tell your digestive system on which enzymes, etc., to secrete. The other one I like a lot is the rule of thirds. And the rule of thirds is, has anyone made a smoothie here before? Right? Okay, if you put too much solid, it becomes thick and it doesn't mix properly. If you put too much liquid, the solid parts float around in it, etc. If you fill it up too much to the top, it doesn't blend properly. And that's kind of how the digestive system is, the stomach. And the rule of thirds says a third needs to be solid, a third needs to be liquid, and a third needs to be empty. And that will give you the optimal conditions for churning the food in your stomach. Also important is to eat foods that are cooked similarly, right? So eating raw and cooked foods confuses the stomach on digestion. So I think, and then there's an entire realm of compatibility of foods. Too much to go into at this particular point. But I think just to add to what my colleague was talking about, we talked about lifestyle, all of these things, up by 6, in bed by 10. Just that would make a difference to your life. There was one Vaidya, I think it was Vaidya Trigunaji, who was asked, there's so much to do in Ayurveda and so much documented, where do we start? And he said, if the only thing you did was go to bed at 10 p.m. and up at 6 and ate at mealtime, you would find a significant difference in your life. So I think that lifestyle factor is really, really important. Behavior and ethics, keeping a sattvic, pure mind, and this is where going back to your scriptures, and Ayurveda doesn't need to be a Hindu thing. These principles can be applied to whichever philosophical background that you have. But, love your neighbor like you love yourself. Look unto another human being and see God in them. Those come from all different scriptures. And having that sort of philosophical or scriptural basis is important. Yoga, meditation, we talked about. I do like one saying from meditation: if you don't have 20 minutes to meditate during the day, meditate for 40. Okay? Because it's implying your life is too crazy and you need to meditate a bit more. And then seva is something that is common throughout all religions, and something really important to keep in mind. Okay, so I spent a month and a half at Sridhariyam Ayurveda. It's a general Ayurvedic hospital, but they have a specialization in eye therapy. I had the privilege of working with some Vaidyajis as well as BAMS, Bachelor in Ayurvedic Medicine and Surgery doctors, there was a little Irish story where there was this man in the village who everyone thought he was totally crazy, and the other half of the village thought he was totally brilliant, and it was because he could hold two opposing thoughts in his head at the same time. So being a medically trained doctor, Western medicine, and Ayurvedically trained, I thought my mind was splitting in two different directions quite often. But at moments there were points of intersection that were like eureka moments. They were just really beautiful when you could integrate Western medicine and Ayurvedic medicine. And I certainly experienced that. While I was there, I saw patients alongside the doctors, as well as was very deeply immersed in panchakarma, to the extent that I had the panchakarma therapies myself, Vamana, Virechana, etc., Nasya. It was phenomenal. And what I would say is, when we look at Ayurveda in daily practice with Dinacharya, etc., together with taking a rasayana like ashwagandha, shatavari, etc., what happens is, like, we're trying to chop down a tree with a Swiss Army knife when we're doing that, because our accumulation, aggravation, the context in which we live is such an aggravating force that to get any tangible impact in your life from these Ayurvedic interventions with the ongoing stressors is hard. But panchakarma was kind of like taking a chainsaw or an axe to that tree, and there were no trees hurt in the telling of the story. Because it goes deep, deep down into your core and your balance. The analogy I like to use is when we sleep at night, it's kind of like putting our computer in sleep mode or shutdown mode. When we go for panchakarma, it's kind of sending the computer to factory reset, right? It really, really gets to the balance. So my wish, having come back after spending time and working closely with the doctors there, is I would love to see how we could bring panchakarma, proper panchakarma interventions and facilities to work with doctors like Harshita here, so that we have that service available to people. So that would be my one wish. When we talk about Abhyanga, the massage, that is not proper panchakarma. That is just the preparation that falls in the purva karma, the panchakarma preparation that we have to do. And so I think it's a really, really important intervention for us to consider. So coming back to our African context, this was one of the really big highlights that came out, where Raila Odinga, the former president of Kenya, his daughter had lost sight, and he took her to the United States, parts of Europe, South Africa, etc., and they could not get it right. And they went to Sri Haridiyam, and lo and behold, after she went through all the therapies, she could see again. So it was really, really a heartwarming story, especially to resonate in our African context. So the importance of Ayurveda today: 1 in 3 people suffer from a non-communicable disease. 1 in 3 people. So if you look on either side of you, it implies that one of you has a non-communicable disease: hypertension, diabetes, high cholesterol, etc. That's according to the World Health Organization. From a Western medicine point of view, the microbiome, understanding the concentration and the mix of bacteria in the gut is getting more attention now. The gut-brain axis, your mental health is directly related to what happens in your gut. We're starting to understand that more. Mental health, which is not one thing to pinpoint, but it's part of your entire body constitution, and then inflammatory and autoimmune conditions, which are also like that. We're having such a tough time in understanding this and thinking through interventions of it in an allopathic or Western medicine sense, but Ayurveda has the approach that we can deal with this. So I think it's certainly complementary to what we're looking at. Social and political tension with more peaceful people. Could we get more peace in the world? Wealth and health, this acquisition that people need without meaning, and finding health related to scriptural stuff would help give us meaning. And the Foreign's program, Food and Livelihood Resilience from Neglected Plant Species in Western and Southern Africa, is a program that I was working with here at the University of Pretoria. But it's actually trying to document African plants. For example, Artemisia, which is called Lengana, was a tea that was brewed that was protective against COVID in the African context. So that's a lot of information from the two of us, but your number one priority in this life is to take care of your physiology. Everything else would follow from that. But if you can't take care of your own physiology, well, you're no good to yourself and you're no good to anyone else or the environment. And so that's where it starts off with. And that is my last message. So you're welcome to contact me if you have any questions or if I can help in any way. And thank you for the honor of letting me speak here.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Neeraj Mistriji, for sharing the valuable information. And now we'll go for the next segment. That is, I believe that Ayurveda and yoga are two sides of the same coin. So before we start, just to get your attention, once again keep your spine straight. Just close your eyes. Just watch your breath. Eyes must be closed, no cheating. Just focus on your breath. Slow down the breath. Take few deep breaths. Just focus on the breath. Your forehead, cheeks, and neck. So are you energetic for another 5 minutes presentation? So you know when do we do this rubbing of the palms traditionally? We do it traditionally, right? When do we do it? When we sleep? When we wake up? Yes, right? We do this. And we place it on our eyes so that instantly everything in your body and the mind activates. So without taking much of your time, so I'll go to the yoga aspect of this presentation. Myself, Manu Chidananda, by profession, I'm into yoga. And as a teacher of Indian culture, I'm taking care of the culture and the yoga related activities of the consulate. So I started for my health issues. I was obese, I was 90 kilos. I had digestive issues and thyroid issues. And little did I know that one day I would come to Africa to teach yoga. So that is what life is about. Now, everybody knows yoga, right? Everybody knows, and ChatGPT, YouTube knows more than anyone. So I'm not going to give you those kind of information. But what is yoga? See, I always said everybody can talk about yoga, but we should always stand on the shoulders of the giants. What are the experts saying about this so that it's relevant for all the times? So this is one of my favorite definitions of yoga, where it said that each soul is potentially divine. The goal is to manifest this divinity controlling nature, external and internal. Now this is the important part, which says, do this either by work, worship or psychic control or philosophy, by one or more or all of these, and be free. So this is the key word. Whatever yoga you follow, the whole idea is to become free. The freedom, what we say. This is the whole of yoga. Doctrine, dogmas, ritual, books, temples, forms are but secondary details. So why am I bringing this up is, a lot of people under what not is yoga has gone too deep into people's mind. What is yoga? Nobody is getting it. What is not yoga? They think that is yoga. So all these things, whatever rituals or books, these are all means to an end. They are not an end in itself. Does it sounds good? Okay. So I'll give two definitions of yoga. So it's like going to a car showroom. First they will show you the basic version. Then they will show you the very high-end version. So what we spoke was just the basic version. But what is yoga? So if you ask me, till you meet the master or the spiritual master, the guru, yoga seems to be a puzzle. It remains enigma. And why is it so? So this is what Swami Vivekananda says. Yoga is the highest knowledge which cannot be bought by books or through any secondary source of information. And he goes to say that, I really love this, I can write this in my blood. Because what I'm saying this, I've killed myself to say this. Till you meet that master, it remains a puzzle, an enigma. So here Swami Vivekananda says, you may thirst your head into all corners of the world. You may explore the Himalayas, the Alps, the Caucasus. You may sound at the bottom of the sea. You may go to Tibet, the desert of Gobi. I mean, like, you may go all around the world, but you will not find till your heart is ready for receiving it. And the teacher has come. Because this is a soul-to-soul connection. I give this example. You can't lit a lamp with a torch. What can lit another lamp? What can? Another lamp. So this is where a living master comes into the picture. So this is why sometimes I say, have you heard this Hindi movie? Mera paas bangla hai, gaadi hai, mera paas maa hai. So I also say I have. Okay, now I will come to a very tiny and a very important aspect of yoga. It's called as yoga asanas, yoga posture. So I will not tell too many benefits, I know. It's too much. But one benefit I would say is that this is Krishnamacharya. He was a teacher of B.K. Iyengar and Patabi Joish, the two great gurus who took yoga to the entire world. So to tell the benefit of yoga, he demonstrated something which tells the power of yoga asanas. So here it says that he, by the power of yoga, he was able to stop his heartbeat for 2 minutes. I'm not trying to show stars here, but this is possible through yoga asanas, and it is this certificate is still there in Mysore Palace. So this is one of the copies. So that is what yoga's benefits are. I mean, isn't it wonderful? You can stop something which is not stoppable. Because see, at those times, why this was done is to show the efficacy of yoga to the world. Now you have labs, research to show, oh, this is what it can do. But those times, they all did this to show, convince the world. And Krishnamacharya, he did teach this to his own son. Because sometimes it can be, you can take it for granted, you can misuse it, and by that time size award. Okay, going to the next. So importance of physical body, a great poet of South India, Kalidasa says, the body is the means of fulfillment of success. So body is what do you call it as? The basement, the base, strong base if you want to do any mental or spiritual activities. So without a strong base, you can't build above, the floors above, right, in the same way. So what I will do is that I'll just, I wanted to show the video and give the benefits of it, but due to lack of time, I'll just show the asanas. So these are all yoga postures, a very one tiny aspect of yoga, but a very significant aspect of yoga. So yoga's benefits are like supermarket. You have all kind of benefits to it, but you just enjoy the yoga postures here. Don't do it at home without proper guidance. So before we this is just a 1.5 minute video. So I want for you to take this as a take home message that there are so many yoga postures, right? The whole world is talking about, I can bring my leg here, I can stretch and all these things. Whichever yoga postures you take, it falls under 3 categories. Okay? Any idea? Somebody is into yoga. Okay, the first one is called cultural postures, like Vrikshasana, Dhanurasana, Mayurasana, Shirsasana. Okay. And the second one is called as relaxative postures. Your Shavasana, you just lie on the spine, like how you're sleeping, and Makarasana on your abdomen. So these 2 leads you to the third posture. So what is that? We'll discuss after this clip. So this is Utkatasana, Vrikshasana, Parivritta Trikonasana. These are the standing postures. Paschimottanasana, head to knee posture. Navasana, the boat pose. Ustrasana, the camel posture. Ardha Matsyendrasana, half spinal twist. Bhujangasana, the cobra posture. Dhanurasana, the bow pose. Baddha Konasana, the cobbler posture. Chakrasana, the wheel posture, Bakasana, crane posture, Mayurasana, this is called as a peacock pose. This is known as the mother of all asanas, Sarvangasana, Halasana, the plow posture, Shivasana, the mother of all asanas, postures. This is known as the Oom posture. Definitely don't try this. This also. So I think I should pause here. Why? Sorry? So we were supposed to discuss something. What is it? The third posture. So the cultural postures and relaxative posture should lead to the third posture called as meditative postures. I think blindly I can say 95% there is no awareness about this one. They are just doing yoga asanas just for the sake of flexibility. How much flexibility do you require? Do you have to participate in gymnastics, or should you bring your head here? Why is it? That's not, flexibility is just a small outcome of yoga asanas. The whole idea of cultural postures, the relaxative posture is to lead you to meditative posture so that you can meditate. And meditative state is the highest state a human being can reach. There is no other important goal as reaching that state. That's why in every religion, country, culture, meditation is considered as the most important thing. So the three meditative postures are, before this one was Vajrasana or the prayer pose. This is known as Siddhasana. The left heel touching the perineum. So this is Siddhasana. So this is known as Padmasana. So that is the whole purpose of yoga, to reach that meditative state. Okay. So now we'll go for the cultural segment. So art is the soul of any culture. Now we bring you to beautiful performance that highlight India's rich cultural heritage. The first performance is from Amrita Navinji. Please. Please come on.
गरजे आज मेघ खनन खनन छायोरी धमक दमक चमके बिगुरी कहत है ऋतु राज आयोरी मम बनि मम ब मम बनि बनि मम ब मम नि प नि रे रे म बनि बनि रे रे मम बनि रे म बनि नि मम बनि रे नि रे बनि मम रे बनि रे मम बनि रे म बनि नि मम बनि रे नि रे बनि मम रे बनि रे मम बनि रे म बनि नि मम बनि रे नि रे बनि मम रे गरजे गरजे आज मेघ खनन खनन छायोरी धमक दमक चमके बिगुरी कहत है ऋतु राज आयोरी
Thank you, Amritaji. It was a splendid performance. Big round of applause. Our next performer, Sumir Mirchandani ji, hails from Ahmedabad and began learning tabla at the tender age of 5. A big round of applause for Sumir ji.
को 3 ताल शुरू करूंगा और 3 ताल से खत्म करूंगा। मनु भाई को धन्यवाद दूंगा कि यहाँ पे बुलाया। एक बार तालियां बजा दीजिए मनु जी के लिए।
आपके लिए ताली बजाना।
तचक धट रिंग दिंग तकट तकट तचक धट कतक दिगन दा कद्दी गिनता दाचक दिन दिन तक धाल दा तचक धट कतक दिगन धा दा तचक धट कतक दिगन धा दा चक्करदार पंजाब से
Thank you, Sumesh ji. So we have come to the close of the program. So as we come close of today's program, I would like to extend our heartfelt thanks to our distinguished speakers for sharing their wisdom, our talented performers for their artistry, and all the guests who made it such a grand event. So now, on behalf of Consulate General of India, Johannesburg, I would like to invite Anil sir on the stage and also Sumati madam to just hand over the mementos. Our first speaker is Harshada ji. A big round of applause. Thank you. Dr. Neeraj Mistry ji, please come on the stage. Thank you, sir. Amrita Naveen ji. A big round of applause. Thank you, Amrita ji. Sumir Mir Chandani ji. Thank you, madam. Thank you, sir. So now I request all the guests to enjoy their refreshments and also to interact if our experts are here for any question answers or something. So thank you very much. Have a nice day. I request all the speakers to come on stage and also the culture performance artists for a group photo.